On June 24th, 2022, the famous court case decided in the 20th century Roe v. Wade was overturned, rejecting women's constitutional right to abortion. How did this happen? And how did the press react to this landmark piece of legislation? Let's first talk about the original Roe v. Wade ruled in 1973. In 1970, Jane Roe filed a lawsuit against Henry Wade, the district attorney of Dallas County, Texas. In this court case, Roe wanted to stop pregnancy, which challenged a Texas law which made abortion illegal except by a doctor's order to save a woman's life. In her lawsuits, Roe claimed that the state laws were unconstitutionally vague and deprived her right to personal privacy, protected by the First, Fourth, Fifth, Ninth, and 14th Amendments. The most important amendment was the 14th Amendment, which states that no states shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. In short, the main idea is that the right to privacy is implied by the equal protection of laws and the due process clause. The final ruling resulted in a 7-2 decision for Roe, which is a majority of the court, answering the question, does the Constitution recognize a woman's right to terminate her pregnancy by abortion? The answer is yes, until June 24th, 2022. Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization is a case that was heard by the U.S. Supreme Court in 2021 and involves a challenge to Mississippi's law that bans most abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. The Jackson Women's Health Organization is the only abortion clinic in Mississippi and sued to block the law from taking effect, arguing that it is unconstitutional under the precedents set by Roe v. Wade, which held the states cannot ban abortions before fetal viability, which is around 24 weeks. Although the case was heard in 2021, yet the result was ruled in 2022, which states that the Constitution does not confer a right to abortion, which means Roe v. Wade was overruled. Understanding the basic information about those two cases, we'll go further into how the media reports the overturning of Roe v. Wade. In the article, California was ready for the Supreme Court to undo Roe v. Wade by Sacramento Bee, which is a local newspaper in California. The author discussed how Governor Newsom claimed that he will, quote, support as many people as he can who need medical care. We can already see that in the title of the article, the word ready is a word that can inspire positivity and eagerness. The intended audience, considering local coverage of this article, is Californians, directly mirroring Governor Newsom's speech on the California's official attitude towards this overturn. The overall tone of this article implies a readiness if Roe v. Wade is overturned. Based on the election map of the 2020 election, California appears on the Democratic side. However, as a local news agency, Sacramento Bee does show media bias through a political lens by conveying the lack of responsibility held by the other conservative states, taking away women's rights while harming their physical and mental health. According to the article, some conservative states, such as Texas, have already started to utilize the overturning case to reject abortions. The author also slightly touched on the economic side of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Through an economic lens, the author expressed some worries that if too many people enter the states only for an abortion, the medical system might collapse due to the overwhelming number of patients. It is quite interesting that in this article, the author showed two different attitudes towards this issue, welcoming politically and concerned economically. Following the decision to overturn, a number of government representatives expressed their reactions on social media. On Twitter, President Biden and Vice President Harris both supported Roe v. Wade and women's right to abortion. As leaders of Democrats, it is clear that through a political lens, the left-leaning political party is not in favor of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. However, according to the article, South Carolina state leaders' candidates react to Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade by Live 5 News, which is a South Carolina news agency. Most Republicans refer to the overturning as power returned to the states. Based on the election map of 2020, South Carolina is considered a conservative state, which means that people think that states should hold most power instead of the central government. This article contains a political lens based on the political party, which in this case of the news agency, Republicans who support the override. This shows a bias when the author uses the word return in power returned to the states, implying that the power was originally owned by the state but was taken by the central government when Roe v. Wade was ruled.
In Leto's article, he says the court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade reshaped the relationship between millions of Americans and the government. Though the opinion will be celebrated by conservatives, it can lead to protests, lawsuits, and charges from the left that the nation's highest court is as political as the other branches of the federal government. He mentioned that the unprecedented breach of a Supreme Court protocol, which showed how the conservative justices might overturn Roe, led to protests across the country. The opinion appeared to closely track with the earlier leaked draft, which was Mississippi's challenge to Roe v. Wade, leaked on May 2, 2022. Additionally, the author also says that for many years, the legal battle over abortion has focused on regulating the procedure, such as requirements that minors inform their parents before ending a pregnancy or requiring doctors performing the procedure to have privileges at nearby hospitals. For anti-abortion groups, the Dobbs case represented the first opportunity in decades to focus squarely on whether the procedure itself is constitutional.
Nevertheless, not all sources contain a biased view on this issue. OIS is a website created by the Illinois Institute of Technology's Chicago-Kent College of Law, and its purpose is to simply inform the reader about certain Supreme Court cases. The author only talked about the facts of the cases and does not include any personal views or apply any critical lenses when explaining the results. Media bias is a complex issue that has the potential to shape our understanding of the world around us. While some level of bias may be inevitable in media reporting, it is important to be aware of these biases and to seek out diverse perspectives and sources of information. By doing so, we can gain a more comprehensive understanding of the issues that affect us and make more informed decisions.